Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thrombowatch. I'm Dr. Aman Sharma. I'm one of the internal medicine doctors. And in today's episode, we'll be talking about one of the most revolutionizing drug in the field of blood clot disorders. We'll be talking about Warfarin, which was once called a rat killer. So if you've got someone in your family, some elderly, some family members who are taking Warfarin, then this video might save their life in case they have the harmful effects or they succumb injuries. And I will also tell you what to do in case of any such injuries or emergencies. So stay us till the end. So from rat killer to lifesaver, that's why I've named it like this, because in the initial days when warfarin came, as I said, it changed the medicine industry. And this would be a surprising story of blood, science, and saving lives. Okay. So when I say warfarin was a rat killer, you would be thinking this guy is talking nonsense, isn't it? Because if I'm going to tell you that rat poison actually saved lives, you would be like, nah, that doesn't happen. But this is an absolute true story. In the 1920s, the rat poison was invented, but warfarin was not brought into medical practice then and there. In the 1950s is when we started using warfarin for various blood clot related problems. And at the moment, there are over 25 million people all over the globe who take warfarin for various medical conditions, be it atrial fibrillation, like, when your heart is having a funny rhythm and it's irregular, it can cause clots and it can go in the brain. People who had heart surgeries, mechanical valve surgeries, people who also had DVT or pulmonary embolisms, few of them are still on the warfarin. So it's very funny how it all came into play. So initially, back in the early 1900s, so there was a disease in the cattle which was called as sweet clover disease. So what basically happened is the cattle used to feed on moldy hay and they used to start to bleed from internal organs and die. So no one understood what was this. Initially, they thought it was some disease, but in the later run and when this was further investigated, they came to know that, okay, the spoiled hay actually contains a special chemical which is working as an anticoagulant. Anticoagulant means the body's ability to form mesh, to form clots is called coagulation. And when we give some agent which slashes this process, it's called an anticoagulant. So what basically happened in the early 19s, as I said, people started using this medication and eventually it was called a rodenticide in the initial 1950s. And people, though were given this medication, they did not take it. There was a very poor compliance because essentially you will not take the rodenticide with you. But that's the sort of stigma it carried with it. And there was I would say, a very good, not a good incident, but an incident which changed this all. So basically, the way it works is you take the medication, it goes in your bloodstream. It essentially works on one simple enzyme and it basically prevents the liver from using the vitamin K. Thus, the reduction in the clotting factors happen and your blood, which can become viscous and thick, becomes very thin and the ability to form clots decreases significantly. So before warfarin, people were dying. Left, right, center, they were dying because it's deep vein thrombosis is not a new disease. Pulmonary embolism is not a new disease. Stroke is also not a new disease. Yes, with the way we are evolving, we are getting more and more metabolic problems. Lifestyles have changed. So we are getting more and more sort of these blood clot related problems in any form, be it your stroke, be it your heart attack, be it someone getting a clot in their lungs, which we call as pulmonary embolism, or a clot in their legs, which we call as a deep vein thrombosis. So actually, if I tell you there was a US president, Eisenhower, who actually suffered a heart attack. And in the 1950s, heart attack patients were also given warfarin. So he came to know, okay, but he also came to know that people are not taking this medication. So there was a very big role from President Eisenhower in terms of the public acceptance of a rat killer working as an anticoagulant. So why is warfarin still a wonderful drug? I would say for us in clinical practice, we still see a lot of patients who do take warfarin and they're actually very happy with it. They don't want to change it. despite we've got the newer generation medications now. Few of our elderly patients say it doesn't mess with their life. They're happy taking it and it has kept them alive for so many years. So yes, it's been there for a very long time. In terms of talking about the expenses, yes, we are blessed that in the NHS we do not pay any dime for any such medications. But if we talk about the world anywhere else, warfarin is a very relatively cheaper medication, but the effects it brings in is marvelous. Again, in terms of people who get their heart surgeries, we've got valves, the leaves in your heart, which can become damaged. So at times you need to have heart valve surgeries. If someone goes through those surgeries, the only medication still approved for keeping them functioning, and so that because it's metal, isn't it? So if the metallic valves get stuck, you're done. So warfarin plays a very important part. And at times when we need to reverse the warfarin, it's fairly easy to reverse the warfarin in a very small amount of time in comparison to the other medications that are still available. But you must be thinking, why is this doctor talking all the good things about warfarin? Yes, every medication has its good side and its bad side. So yeah, it's not a very smooth sail in terms of the warfarin as well, because it does increase your bleeding risk significantly. Especially, when you get a cut or you get some injuries, you bang your head. Maybe you've got, for instance, you've got hemorrhoids or you're bleeding from your bowel. All of these conditions, I'm not saying warfarin causes it, but if these things are happening, the risks of the bleeding increases 10 times or so. So basically, that's the biggest risk factor that we carry along with any anticoagulation, any blood thinning medication. Of course, there's a big dietary restriction because you have to think that foods which are high in vitamin K should not be into the diet of this patient. Otherwise, the blood vitamin K levels would go up and down, and this would affect the medications. With warfarin, one should also not take cranberry juice or grapefruit juice because it basically increases the amount of medication available in your body to a very high content. Thus, the blood becomes significantly thin, and this can cause a catastrophic bleeding. Of course, there would be interactions with other medications, but we can work on that. It's nothing very impossible. It's fairly doable. And one of the more, I would say, discomfort with this medication is, of course, if someone takes warfarin, we have to check one of their blood tests. It's called the INR. So your INR needs to be monitoring. The monitoring needs to be quite frequent. Some people get it checked once a week, some 2 weeks. So depends. You do have to get bloods. Otherwise, we can't keep a fair control of the medication, essentially. So if we compare it to the newbies, when we call the newbies, now we've got fairly advanced medications which work great as warfarin, but the drawbacks are a few. Warfarin, as I said, in the NHS, we are blessed. It's free, but even if you talk about the United States, it's about just $10 a month, which is fairly okay, isn't it? People pay for the medications in the States. Regular blood test also needs to be done warfarin. And again, you have to be a bit watchful with the interactions. But the good thing is any sort of heart valve surgery, warfarin is the drug. And God forbid someone got a bleed, someone has fallen down, something has happened, we can easily reverse the effects of warfarin. But if we talk about the new DOACs or the NOACs as we call them, so they are quite expensive, guys. Again, we're lucky that in the NHS, in the UK, these medications are not charged to us. But yeah, if we talk about the United States, they are about 400 US dollars a month, which is a big sum just for one single medication. But yeah, the good thing is you don't need monitoring. You don't need much of a diet restrictions, but unfortunately they can't be used for mechanical valves. And again, if you have a bleeding, for us, the reversal signs, the reversal options are very less. But now you'd be thinking, is it safe though? You're talking about a medication which can save life, but it also brings a significant amount of risks. In the left, as you can see, the elderly lady, you can see the bruising or the ecchymosis, as we call, extensive bleeding over her face. Maybe she has sustained a head injury. She was trying to get up. She's fallen down, or maybe going out on a park or tumbled upon, felt dizzy, legs gave away. There's so many reasons why a frail elderly person can have a fall. But again, if they are on warfarin, the risk of them having a brain bleed is significantly higher. So my request to you all is, if you've got any person in your family who are on warfarin, if they have a fall, if they tumble upon, hurt their head, if they're having blood through their back passage, front passage, through urination, when passing water, anything. If this is with warfarin, you need to seek medical help, especially if they've sustained a head injury that needs a CT scan regardless. So if they have such things, please don't hesitate. Take them to the hospital straight away. Good thing that in the UK, all the people who take anticoagulation medications are given this alert card. So it usually has the description of the medication, what are they on, also details of their GP, including their phone number and also the hospital number. So the good thing is, for instance, if you live somewhere like you live in east of England, okay, you are on the anticoagulation and now you've gone to vacation, you've gone to Scotland. If you show this card, this would be very beneficial in the way the patient is going to be treated further. So they would be aware, okay, this patient is taking the blood thinning medication. In case they have a head injury, they would be taken care in a, I would say, more robust way. Because if someone has got a head injury and they are on anticoagulant, as I said, head injury CT scan is warranted. And as I said, if you see any of these symptoms, you have to take them to the A&E department. That is a must. Yes, you would complain of the wait times and this and that, but trust me, someone who's got head injury and they are warfarin, they would be scanned on a priority. So you don't need to worry about the waiting and everything. And yes, if you've not joined the community at Thrombowatch, please go and have a look. We are on all social media platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, also on TikTok. And we've got a podcast series in which we are making regular videos along with some scientific data, but we're trying to bring in the stories of people who had blood clot related problems and how it affected their lives, and how, with a sort of better communication and better understanding, we can bridge the gap where you've got the problems and you've got the anxieties and the worries, but we would try to bring those anxieties down, and so that we can have a better world where you can still live with the blood clot problems. So signing off for this episode. I hope you like it. And if you've got any further questions, please drop those queries in the comments or email us, and we'll be more than happy to get in touch with you all. So till then, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.